Greetings, Bill.
Good evening, Angie. I was muted when you first contacted or first spoke.
How you doing, Bill?
I'm doing better. I'm a little less sore, a little less oozy, and a little less swollen. So that's a good thing.
Good thing. Well, I see that 5:59, so we can all take a deep breath before it turns over. Welcome. Greetings. Today, Tuesday, August 25th, 6 p.m., the Joe Davis County Development and Planning Committee is called together. Angie, would you please take the roll call?
Dittmer,
Yes.
Diane Gallagher,
Present.
Lynn Gallagher. Here. Lang, Schultz,
Present.
Trost.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you, Angie. I'd like everyone to make sure they've looked at the minutes from the July 28th, 2026 meeting. Look at those minutes and see if you have any suggestions for edits or changes to those minutes. If not, I'll take a motion for approval. It's been moved by John Lang, seconded by John Schultz to approve the minutes of July 28th. I guess I should ask for any discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Citizen comments is an opportunity for people to report any interest they'd have on agenda items or points they'd like to share with the committee. There are any, I saw Bill online. Were there any others, Angie? Station, okay. Because we have one new person in the room, so I want to give him a chance. Tony, if you want to at least say your name because you are here in attendance in person, and then we'll go to anybody online.
For anybody that don't know me, I'm Tony Jones from the Stockton area, District 16, taking over for Bob Hireman. Short term, I'll be up on the election block for November. So hopefully it's not just 2 months, right?
Thank
Take a
you.
smart ass for those of us who know you're Tony Jones. Who are you?
I was gonna listen to it. I'll go out the other room. It won't take long.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
Please make sure you mute yourself until you're ready to speak.
We are open right now for citizen comments, so it looks like we've got John Creighton and Big Radio and Jacob and Daisha was on there too. So if any of you would like to speak, do you want to step forward? Seeing that you're unmuted and I don't hear anything, raise your hand if you do want and I can come back to you. Okay, looks like we can move ahead to unfinished business, our strategic goals for the fiscal year 2025 through 2027. Those goals were talked about and chosen through the retreat. And as we look at them, the development of planning was to revise the zoning ordinance, and that's certainly in process, encourage commercial and industrial development. We're kind of reviewing that and cooperative planning efforts with municipalities. Anything that you'd see that we would need to adjust in that listing? Not seeing anything. Let's move on to new business. I'm hoping that we can keep our meeting 2 hours or less tonight. We sometimes get on. And the first thing on that discussion and possible action to recommend economic development programs for 2027. I'm kind of, I sorry, Mike, I'm kind of just putting it in order. I know we had a lot of discussion last month about what we would like to see. And it seemed to be that our discussion was pretty much considering keeping our suggestions open depending on what would come up during the year. And because we have talked previously about not wanting to give out grants, I just kind of was brainstorming myself about my strong interest to see childcare proceed, and just had looked at what was going on in some other communities and trying to think about how we might offer a loan program. Not to say that that would even be something any group would want to participate in, and not thinking that we would put this money forth initially this year, because I don't know of anybody who is really ready to do anything right away this year. But trying, my thought was that because we're not sure of revenue, that if we could just identify some priorities so that when we're sure that we have enough money in the budget to expend, that we could consider childcare as one of those priorities. John?
I have something I'd like to read that I wrote up today. I don't like just to blat on. A careful study of the 5-year capital expenditure needs assessment and considering the downward projected trend line of the revenue shows that any excess balances that are currently exist will soon be exhausted. In addition to the capital expenditures, we have escalating personnel costs. We need to continue to offer competitive compensation and not just for the elected officials. Mike, it's been stated that your constituents are greatly in favor of significantly increasing the amount that's spent in economic development, and that many of the county board members are also in favor. I propose the following advisory referendum to be acted upon at the next available opportunity. And the wording would be, should Davis County raise the county property tax rate to provide $500,000 per year to be spent on economic development grants and loans? this would give us proof that you're correct in your assessment of your constituents. Also create a revenue stream to fulfill your economic development dreams. I suspect that much of the alleged enthusiasm for economic development expenditures in your Facebook clan is due to incomplete information and unsubstantiated claims to the effects of 100,000 grant program. To recover that in sales, it would require an increase of $10 million in sales in the county. That's $10 million. Please show me the numbers that those approximately 10 lucky winners have generated that increase in business. I have heard that any and all who do not support Mr. Dittmer's grant program will be primaried in the next election. That's a rather juvenile response to anyone who dares to think it's not the best expenditure of people's money. I look forward to campaigning against a hand-picked puppet opponent who was running because I did not want to waste our limited funds at the peril of underfunding roads, bridges, public safety, personnel, and the other required functions for Davis County.
John, thank you for your remarks. I think what you're kind of moving ahead to some of the other discussions on 2 and 3. I was just wanting to offer an opportunity for any questions about the proposal I put forth for the forgivable loan program. It is true that we can't spend money that we don't have, and I certainly didn't want it to intend it that way. That's why I just put it as a forgivable loan, thinking that it wasn't something that would occur this year and it would only occur when monies were available. LaDon?
For Mike and Dasha, how close are we in the Elizabeth area for childcare? Is that just in the planning stages, or where's it at?
Well, first of all, I that was a personal attack I had on me, and I don't appreciate you letting him do that. This is not the time or place to do that. You're the chairwoman. I don't appreciate that. And most of it was not true either. And I would like a time to respond to that sometime tonight. So please, LaDon, to answer your question, I don't know. I know that they have for a fact have a $1.5 million grant and they have 2 proposals. So, and that was a month ago. After today, if we pass some of these things, I was going to ask Diane to put them on the agenda for next month. So, but if you read any of these proposals I've been putting together since May, I just want the program to be started, and then people can apply for it. People in East Dubuque, I mean, it's open for everybody. It doesn't have to be the Elizabeth thing. I mean, obviously, I would support that one if it's more shovel ready, but it could be a economic development thing from Stockton. I mean, it's open. So I just wanted to bring facts and all that daycare stuff that was on there. Actually, Daisha and Mary Seavey did most of the work on that. Actually, they did all the work on it, and I just wanted to show you that I just wanted support that the target program would be worthwhile. So we could have them to if this moves forward to help daycare. I'd ask Diane for next week or next month. Sorry.
Well, I'd like to answer LaDon's question because I did visit with Chad Stenberg and the daycare coordinator that's on staff there. And what Chad said they're doing right now is investigating good programs and how they're set up and the building. Right now, because the monies that they are promised are dependent upon serving the 0 to 3 age group, which means that the state requires they be sprinkled. And in order to get enough water pressure for the sprinkling, there may be some need for infrastructure changes. But what Chad was saying is they're going around to really understand what is needed physically, because they would consider some quality improvements beside just the childcare space. And that would probably depend upon whether they had a capital campaign or whatever, because he was talking about possibly a community room. But right now, the plans that he showed me did not show anything like that. It just showed the classrooms and restrooms. So they're really taking care to do good, careful looking before they even meet with an architect, because they know that that's a costly project and they want to be sure they know what their needs are. I mean, we certainly went through that with the courthouse. You know, it's, you don't want to do anything quickly. You really want to look at what will work best for you. So that's one location. I think there's another place in the county that is talking about something, and I did not make contact with them. And I didn't want to put anything together that would identify one particular location. We know that there's need all over, and it was nice. Mike's survey really showed that people are willing to pay. People do want full-time daycare. They want some after-school care. So there is documented need in the Elizabeth area. And my reason for putting the proposal together is because our Fund 18 already states we want to have grants for small business development. It says direct investments in projects approved by the county board. And when I put in my proposal is we're only advisory in respects. Anything that we put forth goes to the finance committee and goes on to the county board. So anything that would directly promote and enhance economic development. And my goal was to see larger numbers of people being served. Not that I'm opposed to small business, but you can serve a lot of individual families and children with a care center and make that money productive right off the bat. But whether a loan program would even be suitable, I don't know.
Well, there's absolutely a need for childcare and you know, where that location is gonna be is yet to be determined apparently. But if we can afford to move this money forward so that somebody that's gonna put a childcare center in knows that that money is available, then I think it would help along the way to create the childcare center. You understand what I'm saying?
I do, and I didn't know about the practicality of a loan because loans do require some work on the county's part. And that's what makes it simpler when things are grants. But I don't know, who's to know if they have a capital campaign and if rich people come forward and want to pay for the whole thing. I don't want to disenable those people. John.
I like your proposal, that 3% interest. It's not quite what we could get investing the money, but it beats 1.75 by 100%.
John?
And I like the idea that it's a loan as opposed to a grant. I think it's going to be hard to explain to some of the average citizens that we're just giving out grants.
Angie, what would be, Michael?
So when you were talking, it was a grant, and then when these guys just talked, it's a loan. And when I look at forgivable loan, it's a grant. So, and I read through your thing, and I didn't, is it a grant or a loan that we're talking about for $100,000?
Well, I put it as a loan, and I didn't mean that it would be 100,000 this year, because I don't feel comfortable that we would want to take that big of a chunk. Didn't even need it this year. But if even we got 50,000 set aside this year, 50,000 next year, so that all I really wanted to do is make childcare a priority, that it would be in the top one or two monies we would spend from economic development.
So the East Dubuque facility costs $1.5 million. What do you think $100,000 would help?
Chad had put in a grant for a little over 3 million.
Yeah.
And that grant was not accepted. So that's what kind of drew them into looking at what are some other options. What a private person can do is sometimes a little bit easier than what a governmental group can do. And I'm sure that they will be very responsible in what they decide once they really start working with an architect. But we don't have any idea, and I don't think they have any idea what the cost would be until they really understand their priorities for the space needs.
Chad's estimate was 3 million that he told me. 3 million. They need to raise half of it. So another half.
Well,
At least when I talked to him 2 months ago.
and they are working with Northwest Illinois Foundation with
Yeah.
They're working with Eric Dragne's.
So we would only be a portion. There is a sense of community when you have contributors from throughout. But if we could come to some,
Well, I have another question for you. In 2 months, you're not even going to be on the board anymore. Are you going to help shepherd this program once we get started?
if we do have money, I wouldn't imagine that the money would be expended immediately, but I'm just wanting to see this put into like a restricted fund,
So
childcare restricted fund, whether it's 50,000 or 100,000.
So if I have a question, so I've been fighting for this target program since May, and that's the exact same thing. Why all of a sudden a new program? Why not work with the target program?
You're right. They're very similar, very similar. I was uncomfortable with putting together anything that would be large dollars and be a grant.
But
You're right. Childcare is important to you
And
also.
it's worth the money. I mean, the money is now worthwhile, and we budgeted $400,000, so we have the money. And it's a loan; it all comes back.
Well, I guess we have to depend on the end of the year reports of how much money is going to be predicted. I'm a little bit nervous after what Lynn said about the cannabis funds. John?
Do we actually have 400,000 or do we have 284,000? The way I read your financials that we got in part of our packet, there's $296,000 in bank money that's not allocated. But there's a little over $12,000 in upcoming loans that we will probably approve. That brings it down to 284, according to my figures. The rest of that 400,000 is already out in loans. We have that money, but it's already allocated. We don't have 400,000. We got 284.
It's an asset. It's not something that's in your hand yet. It's owed to you, but it's going to take a while to get it back. And the longer you spin out a loan, the longer it will take to get it back. So it'll show in your financials as an asset, but you don't have it to spend.
We've got over $100,000 out in loans. We got $5,600 worth of interest, including the bank interest. So we got on that 100,000, 1,750 bucks.
So last month we budgeted $400,000. I mean, we literally allocated it. So you're saying that actual cash isn't there? Because I thought it was 300 and some, and then we were getting the 75,000 added to it.
No, we're anticipating 75,000 in cannabis revenue for the rest of this year, which we won't see until the very end of this fiscal
That's
year.
for the next budget
And then
year.
we're also budgeting additional revenue of 88.5, I believe, but you won't have that until the end of the year. I guess I thought that you tonight were talking about what kind of programs you want to offer next year for economic development.
Not dollar
Because
figure.
again,
on it.
financial decisions will be made during the joint reviews.
I'm just going off what we did last month. I used $400,000.
We don't have 400,000.
I thought we had 434,000, and you made a motion to only have 400 to keep 34,000 in.
That's the anticipated
budget for next year.
For the budget for
Correct.
next
So we
year.
have 400,000.
Right,
Correct.
well,
We don't, we anticipate more than what we currently have. Currently, we have 284,000.
Right, but we're budgeting for next year. Look, if we budget for it, I know how a budget works. We budget for it next year. If the money's not there, you can't spend it. I understand that. I'm just working on a budget thing.
We might be getting into the role of the finance committee. If our role is to make recommendations for programs, all I'm asking is that the childcare program be within the top programs that we choose. And if we could have a motion that would recognize childcare as being one of the top priorities so that the finance committee will know that this committee considers that highly important, that would be appreciated.
So moved that childcare be a top priority on our allocation.
I'll second it.
That's not on the agenda to make a motion for, is it?
yeah, you're recommending economic development programs.
No, the motion was just to make it a number one.
Okay, are you recommending this as a program to develop?
Yes.
Would he
Second
need
that?
to, would he need to put it as how it's identified in the agenda?
Well, I mean, you can't stray too far off the agenda.
I
I
mean-
mean, I think that you can make, you know, the suggested amount was here. You can make that recommendation. You can make the recommendation for the program at 100,000. You can make the recommendation for a different amount.
A proposal I'm going to make later, I'm going to put 80,000 into that. So that will be part of my motion that we allocate 80,000 for childcare development.
To be used in the to be used once this program is developed.
Correct. For potential
That's your
assistance in
second?
childcare.
So are we correct that the actual motion that John Schultz made was to adopt childcare as a priority
You want to read the motion?
without the dollar amount and do a second one with the dollar
The
amount?
motion is to recommend an economic development program be developed for fiscal year 2027. Forgivable loan program for childcare in the amount of $80,000.
Oh, we can add to that next year then, for the next year's budget. Correct?
Well, if you don't want, you're not yet. If you want the program to be a max of 80,000, then put it in your motion. If you don't want to determine the max for, because you're still just talking about the program. It's kind of like the revolving loan program. We have a max on the revolving loan program too. I mean, that, you know, that's just it. And I don't think David is wrong in that, you know, maybe that's what you need to be doing is just up the max. If that's what you want to do, up the max for the revolving loan or rewrite the revolving loan. I mean, all of these different programs, you're still asking staff to try to essentially manage all these different programs when you're essentially all trying to do the same thing.
Can I ask a question? So I've been working on this for 6 months. This is the exact same thing that, and by the way, Logan, Peggy, Steve, Jake, and Daisha, we've all been working on this for 6 months. And I'm a little disappointed that you didn't call me on this. You just came out of nowhere with this, where we've been working. This is, Angie kind of said it, this $800,000 or 80,000 for children. We already have a loan program for that. So I don't know why we're doing a new one. I mean, we have $100,000.
We also have a loan program and you're presenting a $250,000.
So the $250,000 one is different though. It's for specific things. That's why.
Okay, so I think hers is for specific things too, childcare.
On top of the one, but we already have one. Let me start over. If you made it just a motion to, let's use that money for daycare only, I think that's fine because we already have that program. But my question is, why didn't you call me and work on this with this?
Not the-
I didn't want to bother you. I know school is starting and
I've
actually,
been working on it for
I
6
didn't-
months.
I didn't want to see a grant program. I wanted to see a loan. And I think I just wanted to offer another option. I didn't mean any offense by it.
I'm not talking about the grant program. I'm talking about the target is a loan. I talked to both banks. They said they supported totally. They would do the work for it. I asked, Van Huysen and, Lady. And so I mean,
You're welcome to take credit for it, Mike.
I'm not-
I don't care about my name being anything. I just want childcare to get some support. That's my only reason.
so the difference is, the target grant is for stuff that the ad hoc, community growth paper worked on for 6 months. That's why, you just kind of bypass it. And that is
I did-
housing, industry and daycare. And again, the program is for whatever comes first, whoever's ready, kind of like answering LaDon's question. So,
I had,
and you have 6 or 7 board members that are ready to support this, and I mean, I can't speak for them, but you just kind of blindsided on this. I mean, I don't get it.
well, I'm sorry it was misunderstood to be that way, but I had heard the consensus from this group that they did not want to see any more grants. They wanted to see loans. So I tried to think of how that might happen. I have a motion on the floor. John, your light's on. I don't know if you want to speak or. We do have a motion on the floor to offer a loan program for up to $80,000 for childcare. All those, maybe we should make a voice vote.
Before we vote, if you don't mind, I think what Angie said sounds more reasonable, where we can put this all in one fund. Is that correct, Angie? Was that what you're saying?
Well, it all is in one fund. It's
But-
in Fund 18 and that's where.
But I mean, without having to designate
In
everything
one program.
at
But
this point.
I think that, yes, I think instead of having all of these specific programs with all these different amounts, have us rewrite the revolving loan application again. I mean, there can be different caveats in there, I just, it seems like that would be the easier, more comprehensive way to be able to achieve all of your goals when it comes to loans.
So
If that makes sense, I'll withdraw my motion and we will redirect, whatever works for our present program.
Would that mean that the revolving loan would have some wording to it that would say priorities given to childcare, to small business, to something like that?
The revolving loan has $100,000 limit. You don't have any restrictions on it. Any business in any industry is eligible to apply.
Well,
It's even open to nonprofits, which the CTE is not a for-profit business, so they would remain eligible.
But my worry about that is it's a good program. We want to encourage economic development, but if we choose small business or a larger size business that does XYZ, then we've taken off the table for childcare. So I just want to get the foot in the door. And I really would like to see it be named.
Have them start an application then they're at the top of the list for consideration.
One of the things about this though, Diane, is that she's asking to develop a program that's not like the revolving loan, that it's a forgivable loan. It's higher interest. We could set the terms that, I mean, somewhat similar to the scholarship that's given out to high school students that go into medicine. And if they work in Joe Davis County for a certain amount of time, then a certain amount of the loan is forgiven. And as they go and they go and they go. And that's, I think, was the goal, is to try to keep them here, keep them engaged, that the longer they're here, then the more could potentially be forgiven. So it would start out as a loan, but might end up being partially a grant.
The only part, if I remember Diane's thing, is the interest is forgiven, not the loan.
Well, to be honest, I was stealing from another location. I don't remember how they did it, but yes.
That's
However,
what
it
it says
would
on your
be-
paper.
However,
The
it would
interest
be
is
so
forgiven.
that there would be an advantage to be staying in business, that we wouldn't want to have, just like when IBM came to town and then they took off. So there'd be an advantage to keeping it alive.
I think we should table this until the next meeting. And so she can get, Angie can get something written up so we can, agree on it. Mike, I'm sorry.
You started the ad hoc community growth committee where we worked on it for 6 months. And then I've been working on this for 6 months to bring that to reality. And Angie's gonna take it over now. Is that what you're?
Oh, I'm saying she's just gonna rewrite the rules to the loan program.
Can we change it to $250,000 from 100,000 so it's actually worth something?
Okay. Not a member of the committee. I think the concern with the 250 is that, I mean, it's not sustainable probably past 1 year.
I understand that. That's why I want extra funding for it in the future.
You're saying
I
you
made a
want this
proposal for
specific
that.
one.
If we took, I like Angie's argument.
Maybe you
If I can. If I like Angie's argument, we don't, the whole problem, the small $100,000 revolving loan fund is for everything. The argument with the target was because of the ad hoc committee said three things: housing, industry, and daycare. So that the target would only be for that. If we made the revolving loan fund up to $250,000 and made it for everything, I don't know why I would be opposed to that. I mean, I think if a whole bunch of people applied and they were, if it was, I think I would vote for the daycare, the industry, or the housing first. Does that make sense? But I'm all right with that. But my point is that Dacia, Jake, me, and others worked really hard on this. We would like to finish it. That's my point. So instead of getting it bypassed.
Mike, I will tell you, I did talk to Dacia and she agrees with me. We just want to see childcare.
On here, she can talk for herself. Oh, she left.
Well, I think we have a motion on the Lynn.
If we rewrite the revolving loan, can we rewrite it with the priorities of childcare? Like, can we, if we're gonna rewrite it, can we add those priorities? If that's what the consensus is?
So it's our only loan program right now. So I think maybe what you're talking about, not necessarily is the program, but it's your, it's as a committee, this is what you're prioritizing yourselves, but this is what we'd like to see the revolving loan program used for this year. But I think because there's been so much discussion back and forth about these types of programs that they're on this agenda tonight to put them forward to you so that you can say, like, with certainty, we do want to do this, we do want to explore this or something like this, or we do not.
Okay.
Yes, that is truly my priority, is we discussed things, but we didn't really make an official vote. And without an official vote, it doesn't make progress. And if the monies are there, the finance committee is not responsible for prioritizing what we consider important. So we just need to give them guidance, whether they have money or not. At least they'll have some idea what this group votes on. So where are we in terms of the motion? John, did you,
You still have a motion on the floor. He said he was willing to. Do you still want to withdraw it?
Fine, if there's a better way to approach this. Unlike some people, I'm not married to a particular idea, and if it gets shot down, it's not a personal attack.
That sounded like a personal attack.
This is not, this,
No, we need to stop this. We need to stop this, but let's,
Stop.
let's,
Roll up.
let's just stay on topic on whether we want to vote on this motion one way or the other, or create a new motion.
Mr. Chairman, if I get personally attacked once more, I'm going to ask you to remove him from this. You need to defend me from being personally attacked.
Okay.
Because I
I
can't.
listened to this whole thing and I didn't take it as a personal attack. Mike, you've got to have, that's not true.
Let's just stop this. Now, this is childish. We are going to discuss the issues at hand. The two of you can talk of that outside of the room. It's not pertinent to this discussion. There's a motion that's either going to be tabled or it's going to be withdrawn.
if you want to withdraw your motion and make a motion to postpone this item to the next meeting, we could do that.
How soon do we need to have this, how soon do we need to have this information for the next step to finance?
Quite honestly, you don't. I mean, we're gonna go through the joint budget reviews, the committee reviews. And at that point, you're going to be saying, this is how much money we would like to allocate for economic development next year. It's you as a committee that have to determine like what kind of programs you want to offer. If you want to offer something beyond the revolving loan, which is the only thing we really have outside of, we've got the first time home buyer loan, but which is specific. But that's why these are on here, because, you know, there was a lot of discussion about grants, but then there were those that didn't like the idea. That's why it was put on here. So you as a committee can say, yes, we want to have a program that involves grants, or no, we do not. Yes, we want to have a target loan program for $250,000, or we do not. And then you having me rewrite the revolving loan program, I mean, you can tell me that later. I think it's just, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. I'm just gonna add another monkey wrench here. If we're going to postpone anything, please don't postpone it to the next meeting, because the next meeting is the night of the League of Women Voters and the Farm Bureau candidate forum. So I won't be here, John won't be here, and I don't know about John Lang, but anybody who's running opposed, we're not gonna be here.
Well, and it actually just comes, the next meeting is what is the date?
September 22nd.
Okay, and it's 2 days before, I think that you have, your joint reviews. Is it the 17th? Is that planning and development, or is it the 24th that's planning and development? I don't have the schedule in front of me.
I think it's the 24th.
But typically in September, these committees, they bypass their regular meeting because they're going into the joint review meeting.
So postponing it to the next meeting doesn't work very well for me.
Well, can't we change that meeting?
Yeah, because we won't have a quorum.
Right.
Three of us
I'd
aren't
like to
here.
go to the League of Women Voters too.
Well, I mean, we could, because development and planning will be meeting at the joint review meeting. So, I mean, that will be, you'll be there, finance will be there. So you could have business items. I don't know, though, that the other committees want to sit and listen to this.
Because there are 3 items under discussion and possible action, if we make a motion and turn it down, at least we have the history. Frankly, I want to vote for number 2. So I don't want to give up voting, because those are important programs. if there was a way to put a motion forth that just described priority without the dollars, would that be amiable? Mike?
You know, this was on the May agenda or the June agenda. And, you know, it was, I need priorities, I need programs. I would like to vote on it now if we can. And well, and then discuss options, whether it passes or not afterwards.
If the second is off on John's motion, is it appropriate to take another motion?
He would have to withdraw his motion in a second.
The second, I'm sorry, what do you mean if the second is off?
Well, John withdrew his motion. Doesn't this person seconding have to?
He hasn't withdrawn it yet. He said he's willing to.
I'm open to a better way of doing it.
Well, I think,
Diane, if 1 and 3 are gonna get combined, which we kind of talked about, I'm fine with that.
1 and 3 are very different.
What's, besides the dollar, what's different about it?
The fact that 1 is a forgivable loan for childcare, the target loan program is $250,000 for specific things. $250.
Did we
$250
clarify what the forgivable loan is? I mean, is it just interest? I don't even think I know what that is though.
It has to be, I think the whole point of it is that she's asking for it to be developed. She does, it's an idea right now. She doesn't have it.
I thought we
planned out.
talked about making it into the revolving loan fund though.
That was also another option where we could rewrite the revolving loan to, because what you're asking for essentially for number 3 is just more money to be loaned, to be available to loan out. I guess I don't know what else to say. I feel like I've tried to give you as much information as possible. It just seems like as a committee, you have to decide what programs you want to offer next year. And then the money part is going to be, it's going to be determined during the budget process. If you want us to rewrite the revolving loan, keeping that in mind, you want to offer a forgivable loan program for childcare, you do or you don't want to offer a grant program, you do or don't want to offer a target loan program. I mean, I think you have to decide as a committee what you want to offer as a program, which I think is you're saying you're prioritizing. I mean, I think that's what you're doing.
Diane, is there any way that I can explain 2 and 3 before we make a decision so we can hear all of them?
I understand what you're saying, Mike, because so many of the programs you've put forth are included in this discussion. But we've on number 1, if we make a motion and it is turned down, that would allow us to go on to 2 and 3 or revise the motion in some fashion. I think we just need to check these off, yay or nay. And I don't take any offense in anything being turned down. It's just a way of prioritizing, and timing can make a difference, because if you have a prioritization in the revolving loan and it's childcare, housing, small business, then what do you do if there's a housing thing that you want to help right away and the childcare is not ready? So all I'm asking is to prioritize within the top 2. Let's give it some guidance and prioritization. John, your motion is withdrawn or revised?
So right now, it's to recommend developing an economic development program for fiscal year 2027 as the forgivable loan program for childcare with a maximum loan amount of $80,000.
Let's vote on it.
And the whole loan, according to your thing, is not forgivable, just the interest if you follow it.
That's appropriate.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so I'm very confused, trying to follow all this. So, okay, so the way it sounds now, which I think John just answered that question, with being the forgivable loan is just, you're talking about the forgiveness of the interest then only. So I feel like the revolving loan that Mike was talking about, so number 3, it sounds like then would encompass what you're saying on, you're trying to focus number 1 as just for childcare. But yet you say childcare is not quite ready, or we're not sure yet, so we don't know if we want that in place for this year. But to me, I feel like childcare is probably the number 1 priority, or why can't you prioritize, okay, here's our goals with our revolving loan program. We want to make sure that there's going to be no future childcare development in this fiscal year that we can help with, so we can move to the next priority. Am I correct in saying that?
Well, no, I don't think necessarily. The first loan option is targeted specifically at childcare and it's forgivable. The revolving loan is what we have right now, not number 3. Number 3 is essentially is putting restrictions on a revolving loan program with a higher loan limit. So that's essentially what number 3 is. But it is different than number 1.
Okay. Well, I guess also I look at it here and we keep, John Schultz has brought up how many times that, well, this money should be in the bank because we can get more money in return that way. Well, now we're looking at doing a forgivable interest loan, which I don't agree with. I think, I don't care who's using the money. We still need to recoup, because at least those dollars are coming back and we still get something back for that to be able to use in the future. So I guess I'm personally not in favor of a forgivable interest loan. I just rather have a revolving loan, or whatever loan you want to call it. And then also, as we had before, set up some grant programs for some small businesses to help make sure we're keeping or promote growth within our communities and drive business to our communities. Like, I guess that's my input on it.
John?
The way I see it, we have $284,000 that we know we have. We have potentially another approximately 100,000 for the fiscal year. I want to make sure we have some money of that basket set aside for potential childcare development. That's why I have this motion.
Mike?
Yeah, so I obviously agree with Jake 100%. So I would keep the revolving loan. I wouldn't touch it, and we could just add a caveat that we want to focus on daycare. My plan, I'm sorry if I can say it quick, I want to do all 3. And whatever money gets used up first, whether we budget more money for it or not. And then we'll take care of next year. And so I guess I said it all, but I think we're talking about the same thing. I don't know why the target loan program is different than the revolving loan fund, because it's specific, and that's the work that we did, the ad hoc committee growth thing, and the work that we've been doing for the last 6 months. I agree with Jake too. If we've heard all the time that we have to make more money on interest, so I'm not for the forgivable loan interest. I mean, it's 2%. Lend them 100,000 at 2%. It's fine. And that's the max of the revolving loan fund anyway. So, like I said, the simplest solution for one is just say we're going to focus that revolving loan fund on childcare. Well, I don't think no one used it this year either, right? So
I guess I'm just kind of wondering why you think that someone will use any of the other ones. If they're not using the revolving loan fund, Why would they use any other loan fund?
Because we know that there's at least one daycare that would be interested in Elizabeth. And I think someone said there might be another one somewhere.
So they're not interested because they don't think 100,000 is enough.
Well, I think they'll take whatever they want, but I want to make sure it's worth it.
Okay,
Number
but-
two,
But that's exactly what we're saying here is
no,
that the revolving
so-
loan program
I-
is at $100,000.
so if I can finish, if we did housing somewhere, which we desperately need housing, and especially, sorry, Jake, I'm gonna take your argument that we talked about earlier. With this zoning thing, who knows what tomorrow is gonna bring? We should do housing in the towns. This would help with that. And look, I mean, $100,000 isn't gonna do much for housing. And then, industrial park, in Stockton or whatever. So if we can create this program to help any one of those businesses that come first, that would be great. The $100,000 loan, be honest, is for super small businesses. It's not for daycare. It's not for industrial park. It's not for housing. So that's why I have a separate one.
And what was your proposal to secure the $250,000 in the loan?
I haven't got to that yet because I asked if I could do the target program. So
Because you also, as board members, have to keep in mind that these loans are essentially investments. So all it's gonna take is one default, and then the program is gonna be hard to continue.
yeah, I thought that was in the paper that they would be secured
How?
by the property. I talked to the bank. Oh, I'm sorry. it's not
Okay,
target program.
let's get to that, allow that discussion to occur on number 3. I do want to announce that I have no problems with taking off forgivable for the loan program. So, John, in your motion, did it put forgivable or just if
I didn't mention that part. I just said
Diane,
$80,000,
if you take the forgivable off, it is the revolving loan program.
right? Call the question.
Lang. Schultz,
Aye.
Trost,
Aye.
Dittmer,
No,
Diane Gallagher,
Aye.
Lynn Gallagher. Aye. Motion carries.
Mike, the next 2 items are programs that you've put together and in the packet, the Small Business Development Grant Program. You'd like to go over that?
yeah, so, I'm not trying to cause problems, but I do want to point this out. So what keeps going off? I'm sorry. When last night, or last year, whatever session it was, when it passed 9-7 to fight for that cannabis money to come into economic development, which I believe, and this is probably don't want to cause you all 5 voted no on. That we all fought, we said at those time in those meetings, that was to do the grant program again. And so the grant program, I've talked about it a million times. In which the jobs that were created, I do think I have a support of a majority to do that again. So I hope you guys consider it. It would be to do the program. I believe if you look down there, there's a whole bunch of changes that we would have to formalize. Totally open to all those changes. But it would be $50,000 to help small businesses be successful. And like the last program, the $100,000 one. And if you look at the budget, so this is the way I looked at it all. If there's around $400,000 that we're budgeting, and again, if I'm going to say it again, if there is no money, then these numbers change. They change. Approximately $75,000 would come from the cannabis money. I think it's important that Northwest Economic Development gets their money out of that because that's hopefully money that we get every year. And as of now, they're just taking from the Fund 18 slowly. And this stabilizes Fund 18 so they get that money. And I put, and you guys kind of talked that you would like to raise it. So I just made it 20,000. Of course, they're getting 15 now. We can discuss that. And then 2,500 to Blackhawk Hills and then 2,500 for education and training, which we discussed. So there's the 75,000. So this is something that can be funded every year.
Mike, I don't think you understand that this is, that money is a revenue coming into Fund 18. Paying Northwest Economic Development is an expense coming from Fund 18. That 75,000 by resolution is being deposited directly into Fund 18 once the $600,000 for the bond payment is complete.
I understand completely. So if only $20,000 gets deposited in, that money goes to economic development, it goes to Northwest Special Ed. It all goes in the same pot. I understand 100%. So next year would be different. That's the estimate this year. If it's only 70,000 and we only give out 45,000 in grants, the priority is those recurring expenses so we don't hurt the fund balance of Fund 18. And so that's the grant problem. That's the grant program.
So how are you not hurting the fund balance if you issue loans?
No, I don't think that's a hurt. That's an investment. So yes, that would go down if that happened.
But it
Correct.
is not an investment when you don't have money in the bank to continue the program.
Then my answer, I said earlier, I'll say it again. The next budget year, we'll look to find money for it. It'll be a year by year thing. So that's the grant program. Reinstate, and that's where it's getting funded.
Make a motion to that effect.
So if
Mike?
these businesses fail that we want to give money to, how do we get the money back? You don't.
For grants, you don't. That's why it's a grant. And I made this argument 2 years ago when we did 100,000. It's low money and they don't fail. And if they did, you can tailor, well, then you lose the money, but it can go towards property. You still have the property, you get the property tax back. It's grants. And I'm going to be really honest. If you guys are going to fight that this is a waste of money, I'll bring up the courthouse and the parking again, because it's different. So it's the same argument.
So according to AI, roughly 20% to 23% fail the first year. In 5 years, 50% fail. In 10 years, about 65% fail, meaning only 35% make it past a decade.
So that's AI. And again, we have, I think we have Northwest Illinois Academic Development to help make sure we find good businesses that are going to get that. I believe I've liked everyone that they did 2 years ago. It's less money. It's reusable money. It's cannabis money. Sin tax is coming in. Like I said, I made these arguments for the last 2 years. So
based on what you're saying, you are prioritizing. You are essentially right here talking about prioritizing the Fund 18 budget as every year, the first thing that's paid, Northwest Economic, thank you. Blackhawk Hills is next, and then your grant program is next, and then whatever comes after, that's next.
not really. No, that's what you're saying.
What you said.
No, it isn't. No, it
No,
isn't. So
it-
can I say what I'm saying? May I please?
Please do.
Whatever money comes in from the cannabis, which is a yearly amount for the budget next year, that would go, okay, let me start over. Fund 848018 has so much money in it, and we don't add any money to it. It hasn't been added to it since the casino. All right. The 90s. Thank you. And it's slowly been depreciated. We were paying salary out of it, all that stuff. We've been paying Northwest Illinois Academic Development. I want to keep that. Yes, we were paying salary. The half salary came out of it. Yeah. So it's slowly been getting low, and I want to stop that. So the money that's there now, that was only for loans. It's only for loans. The money that comes in every year will go to Northwest Illinois Academic Development, Blackhawk Hills. Whether we do it for education or not, that could be debated. And then the rest of that is grant. That is what the board members that fought for it last year, the past, that's what we fought for the grant for that. So that's what that money is. And I think that's good budget sense every year to use that money for that and keep the other money intact. Now, if we don't give out the grants, I mean, the loan money to me will replenish itself. And I would like to find other money for the loans, though that's not what we're talking about in this time.
Can I just ask one question? So theoretically, based on what you're saying, if right out of the gate in December of 26, you give out $300,000 in loans, then you're saying, because now you've depleted the fund balance. There is no extra money, old money that's sitting there from the riverboat. So now all the money that's coming in, you're saying is prioritized. So you have Northwest Illinois Economic Development, Black Hawk Hills, and then your grants.
Well, if, let's say we didn't have any money in the first place, would we keep paying Northwest, where would we pay Northwest Illinois Economic Development, or we'd say no to them? What would we do?
Well, that would be up to you as.
That's what I'm saying. So that's your theory question is kind of, there's not really an answer to it. But I will say that if we lend out $300,000 to awesome businesses and we didn't have any money for the rest of the year to lend out, yeah, I'm totally for that. Absolutely. The next year we can discuss if we want to keep lending money out or not. But that's what that money is there for, loaning out. So if it was for a daycare or housing or jobs, hell yeah, absolutely.
But you've spent all the money.
Yeah.
And then you've prioritized how the next round of money is going to go. And the third on the list is the grant program. So if a first-time home buyer comes in and wants to borrow money, after those grants have been paid out, given out, then there will be no money for a loan for the first-time home buyer.
If in the first year, next year, $300,000 goes out, then I would fight with us that support this to find more money for that homeowner loan. And that's why the Target grant has its additional funding. And I saw you guys spend all this money on the courthouse and $1.5 million on the parking. And the Target grant money comes from the exact same spot. And I think I have the support from the board, enough board members to support that. And that's grant money that'll come back. So.
You never
Yes.
know until they vote.
That's correct.
I hate to throw cold water on your pot money, but we're not guaranteed any significant amount over 600, even the 600,000, because if you get a medical card, then the county doesn't get that 3% tax on it. Correct?
That is correct, yes. So if you can't get the 600,000 into Fund 89 to pay the bond, we're gonna have to try to find other money to fund that, which will come probably from revenue that we're using for general fund purposes right now. And I will tell you that we're looking at a pretty significant deficit for fiscal year 27 already in the general fund.
Yeah, and since we're already there, if you guys, I ran because I believe you made a mistake with that by not doing a bond levy, and you didn't do it by a referendum because you knew the taxpayers wouldn't support it. If we have to use property tax money, that's on you guys, because you guys chose a poor way to fund this.
So that is incorrect.
That is absolutely
Mike,
correct.
Because, no, it is
Why am
not.
I arguing with you? You're not even a board member, Angie.
But I'm the one that takes care of the finances, aren't I? And I will tell you that that bond is secured by retail occupational tax. So whether it is cannabis tax or whether it's sales tax, it doesn't matter. Any
Right,
kind of.
it was
tax
done, and
we
that was a
take
poor
in,
decision by this
it
board not to do a bond levy.
doesn't matter, Mike, because that's how that bond's gonna be funded before we ever take it to the property
I
tax.
agree. Well, that's what I mean. It's gonna be taken out of property. It's gonna be taken out of the general fund money because we didn't plan correctly for it. So, correct, yes.
Past history is past. One of the things I want to ask you, Mike, when we think about economic development as a service, I think you and I agree that helping small business get started is just like a service program, whether it's the health department giving immunization or the Veterans Administration giving money. It's providing a service. So there is definitely a risk when we loan out money, and they may not be secured as well as we all would like. But I think we're looking at it as a leveraging to help business get started, business to stay in the county. It's not easy to prove that it will work, but it's almost like a service. Would you agree?
I agree 100% with you. Absolutely. We
You
should
wanna
have
make a
economic
motion
development
on
money.
Number two?
I will make a motion that we reinstitute the small business development grant program.
And we don't need to put a dollar amount, it's a prioritizing. It's been moved and seconded to prioritize the Small Business Development Grant Program for the future year. Roll call.
Schultz,
No.
Trost,
No.
Dittmer,
Yes.
Diane Gallagher,
Yes.
Lynn Gallagher,
Yes.
Lang.
No,
Will you have a tie? So it fails.
We can go on to number 3 next.
Can we bring it up again next month or is it done?
It was brought up by someone who voted
No.
no, yes, no, yes.
Can I ask one more question?
Yes,
What's the name of this committee?
Development and Planning.
Okay, just making sure I understand that correctly.
Mike, would you like to cover the topic under number 3?
Yeah, we already did. But it's the culmination of the ad hoc community growth to prioritize 3 things. And before number 1,
Target Loan Program.
yeah,
In the handout.
yeah, you should have it. Number 1, it kind of I know we had like 400,000 and I was asking for additional revenue. I was willing to say if it all came from the 400,000, that would still, and 75,000 went to the programs that we all already came up with. And then that would leave 75,000 for housing and small business loans, which might not be enough, but we didn't use that much last year. I think we could have done it this year, but now I know everyone's out to give me this meeting, so I don't know how far it's gonna go. So what would you like to know about it? It follows the revolving loan fund. I talked to both banks. It would be secured because instead of a bank giving, I'm just using this example, a $2 million loan, they would only give a $1.75 million loan. And we would have the other 250, maybe $1 million is a better example, $1 million loan. They would give the whole $1 million loan because the property would be worth $1 million. So if there was a default, we would get it all back. So there's the risk is very minimal. It's the same as the banks. The banks said they thought it was a great program. They would willing to support it and they would finance it because it's only one loan. And it was, like I said, it was the work that we did at the community program. I wish we could move forward with it because it makes sense. But I don't know. That's up to you guys.
Lynn?
I want to know how this, other than the priorities and the amount, how this differs from the revolving loan fund and why we don't just do this in the revolving loan fund.
Again, after we talk about the revolving loan fund, if we were to make the amount more, I would be, because 100,000, I would be, you just asked me the question, so I don't have the answer right now, but I'm trying to, if we made the revolving loan fund priority rise, it'd be the same thing. But I didn't want to hurt the revolving loan fund because that's for smaller businesses. We have a revolving loan fund for small business only. The grant program that you guys just voted down was for small businesses. This is to try to get the bigger ones with money that's secured and that would come back to us. So
But why couldn't it be in the revolving loan fund?
it could, we'd have to increase, it could. I mean, you want the priorities? I mean,
Well, yeah, why couldn't it just be adjusted with priorities?
it could. I said that earlier. I mean, if we wanted to come, and I asked Diane if I could be part of that discussion, I don't think that's, I would definitely, I'm not going to say no to that. Absolutely. But we already did this childcare loan, so.
Okay. Also, in your narrative, you mentioned that there were projects lost to Iowa and Wisconsin. What were they and what was the specific gap? Like what was the amount of money and what were the businesses that went to Iowa and Wisconsin and did they come to the county? Did they ever approach us?
I did that last month. We did the T things, and I said there was a tech business in Elizabeth and a trucking business in East Dubuque. And I had the dollar amounts And we went over that last
But
time.
did they ever come?
I don't know. That was before I was on the county board. So I don't know at all. I don't know that at all. And, I mentioned that, remember, the whole point of this is to get on the playing field. And I believe a board member said, well, we might as well not even get on the playing field because we can't offer enough money, which I disagree. I think we need to at least be on the playing field, and that would start this. So,
Of the businesses, to my best of my knowledge, that never came to the county board.
yeah, but we don't know. I don't know. Well, the county,
That we
Well, I-
can, we
well,
can
but Lynn,
use it as a.
but
as a
Lynn,
rationale.
yeah, I think we can because the county didn't even have a program for them to come to. And so this is creating that program where they can come to it. So I do think it's different.
Well, could it be said that there are many factors when a business decides to locate outside of the county? The factors might be incentive programs, it might be state taxes, it might be availability of employees. A lot of things come into play.
Yes.
And the trucking company moved, kept their operation in East Dubuque, but for tax purposes, they went to Dubuque for the corporate taxes. The president for the company lives down the street from me.
Oh, I'm not talking about her spot. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not talking about.
John,
If you followed my suggestion of a advisory referendum, should Davis County raise the county property tax rate to provide $500,000 per year to spend on economic development grants and loans, you would have your funding source to be able to compete with the big boys.
I am not for raising taxes for economic development. I'm for using the money that we have already, and we have plenty, so.
But if you look at the capital expenditure bill and other expenses we know we're going to have, those fund balances are going to disappear real quick.
I made that exact same argument about the parking lot and you guys ignored it there. So it's kind of ironic that you're using my same argument now this way. So I don't think you can have it both ways. So.
The parking lot has been an issue forever. And it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. Ron Smith for years talked about the fact that they could have bought the house next door and the board turned it down.
Or a 2 on Bench Street before they became.
I thought you guys said the past was the past. We couldn't talk about it.
I didn't hear that, Jake. What'd you say?
I thought they said the past was the past and we couldn't talk about that.
So again, look, as you can see, there's definitely some discontent within board members. And you guys asked a long time ago for a truce. And a truce in my mind means we work together and compromise. And what has happened, there's been no truce. It's been 2 rules. We spend whatever money we want. We can use whatever arguments you want, and it's no for you guys. And that's fine. We're fighting to hell for our children. We're fighting like hell for our children. I'm sorry. And we're going to keep doing it, whether it's this year or next budget year or the next budget year. It doesn't matter. I wish we could work together. I did say that you guys can have 99% of the budget if you gave us 1% in a loan that we'll get back. And you guys are saying no for these reasons, which is fine. We'll fight next year. It's just wish that we could work together and speak and talk together and talk beforehand. But again, it's a loan for businesses that we've identified we need, and we'll get it back using the same money that we use on the courthouse and in the parking ramp. And I've talked to my constituents. I know what they believe. I am not for raising taxes at all, ever.
would you like to make a motion?
I move that we create a target loan program for the specific things listed for $250,000. And if it does pass, we'll tweak it so everyone's happy with the program, so it's all safe.
Do I understand you that 250,000 would be in addition to the 100,000?
That would be discussed later. Yeah.
Okay. But it would be an additional program to the revolving loan.
Yes,
Just want
sure.
to be clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that we can discuss it, I will second that motion.
So it's been moved and seconded, a motion for a target program for $250,000. I'm opening up for discussion.
I have everything. I don't know if there's is there any questions?
My only question is, where does the money come from to fund this? And I know your argument would be that we already spent money on the courthouse, but that's irrelevant to this argument. We need to be able to.
Yeah,
have
so,
have a
no, I'll
funding
answer
source for
that.
this.
I'll answer that. So, let's see if there's three different places that I would look for the money. 2 years ago, we had a $1.4 million surplus, that went to the courthouse. Last year, this was from memory, we just had the audit guy come to the finance meeting. There was a $1 million surplus, and we ended up spending 1.2 of that because it went to the courthouse. And if I remember, we budgeted only a $300,000 surplus last year and ended up being $1 million minus the courthouse. So if there, Angie said there was a negative this year. So if there was to be a surplus, that would be the first place it would come from. The second place it would come from is there's $8 million in reserves. And we're supposed to, by ordinance, have 3 months or 4 months, $2.8 million. So that leaves over $5 million in reserves. I think that's my number one place. And that's again where the money for the courthouse and that all came from, because there was 12 some million dollars in there. And so doing a $250,000 loan to help businesses, special businesses that we all know that we need, that we'll get back, I would like that to be the number one priority. And then the third one, and it's an option, but I don't even know if I'd be for it, would be from the contingency fund. So those are the three places I would go for. And actually, number two is, no, in that order, 1, 2, 3. And again, I don't even know if I would vote for number 3, but that's where I'd come from.
Well, it's my understanding that the finance committee takes care of the dollar amount. I mean, you suggested percentage and I could see some sense in that, but I think we've heard outrageous amounts for IT, outrageous amounts for roads and bridges. And personally, I looked through the budget and I thought, oh my gosh, if something happened and we didn't get funds, I tried to see, well, where would it come from? Where would it come from? And if you had to pick and choose, I couldn't find anything that I could pull from to say that I'd even say pull from that for childcare, because they're all very important. And that's really the role of finance, was my understanding, is that we have to take care of our safety obligations. We have to take care of the security with IT, and we have to maintain the consistency of a balanced budget. But that's my.
I agree with 99% what you said. But I do believe that the future is just as important as the here and now, and 1% of the budget on the future is worth it. Right. So I agree 99% with you. Does that make sense? Except the 1% for the future of us, younger board members, children, so we could fight for them. So
you're saying we have a $25 million budget, is what you're saying?
No, I'm just using 1%. We have a 12, it's a little over 1. We have a $12 million, $13 million general fund budget.
You got to keep in mind why we have those fund balances. It's because for many years, especially in highway, we bought a bloody tourniquet and a used Band-Aid instead of equipment that we needed to keep updated. We have roads and bridges that need a lot of money, and we have to keep those up because people know the roads and bridges.
I agree with 100%. We have done meet and greets throughout the year for this election. I've met with my constituents, and I bring all that up, and they all, not one. Jake, I'm going to ask you to answer this. What did they tell you?
I mean, yeah. So I've been going around because for the 40-acre rule, I've been trying to talk to as many people as I can because I'm big ag based, and we kind of talk about all the different reasons as to why and why not we should change it. And, and then we kind of get talking about different things in general. And they keep bringing up, well, how do we fill our empty storefronts and, bring business to town, because that increases, that's where you can get your sales tax to help with your budgets, or with the money coming in, and keep that going, and keep the populations towards town and not out in the countryside. And so that's where I brought up, well, so you're saying you'd rather have the county invest in economic development of some sort, whether it's grant programs or loan programs, and I have not heard a single no from my constituents.
Thank you, Jake, for your input. Yeah, I think it's true. Our county residents would like to see a lot of things, and they are probably not as aware of the budgetary issues and the bills coming forth. So what you're saying is they really see economic development as a priority.
I'll let-
I don't think there's any disagreement in this particular group. Economic development is a priority, but we need to be able to figure out a reasonable way to fund it within budget.
Again, unless, Jake, did you want to answer that, or do you want me to?
No, I was just gonna, I could go on about, so I'll use this example of, if the farm comes up for sale next to you, you buy it, if you can do it. Yes, but you got to have your research and your homework done. No different than the courthouse parking garage. Is it needed? Yes, absolutely. Is it the best opportunity in the world to have right there? Yes. But have we done our homework on it? That's a no to me. So there again, people want this, and yet we're not, they talk about the courthouse and the parking. They know we need parking, but they're like, why are we spending this much money on it? So I have to explain that to them. But then I say, hey, well, how about we, economic development? And then it's like, well, we need to do this, this, and this, and fund this. And, you do these loans, and yeah, we're going to lose money to start with, but hopefully, you look at a loan, long term, you get that money back, and then eventually it funds itself. So you explain all that to these people, and everybody understands, okay, I understand why we're going to buy a parking lot or why we're going to spend money towards economic development. And 99% out of, every one of them have said, well, why are we not spending money on bringing business in if we can attract that business, or trying to drive sales tax is ultimately what it comes down to. So I don't know if that answered the question or not, but basically it comes down to, we can find money for a court or for other projects, but yet when it comes to economic development and you are the development and planning committee, it's like you're actively trying not to promote economic development in Joe Davis County. That's kind of how I see it,
Jake, I appreciate your input. It's probably not fair for those of us who are sitting on this committee, and I know it's not probably appropriate to have a lot of conversation that are not committee members, but I think we've heard your stance on it. It makes sense for people who are on the outskirts to think about their needs and wants. And we have had some past history that may not be known to everyone as far as why we chose this plan for the parking lot versus something else, why we didn't just take all the costs for one thing or another. But I think Mike started with a motion, and we had a second, we had it open for discussion. I'm going to give Mike 1 or 2 more minutes for discussion, and then let's have this vote because it's 7:25.
So my constituents, I can tell you what they say about the parking ramp. Forget about the courthouse, the parking ramp. Because it's coming from the same money.
Parking ramp is not.
It's coming from the same money. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Calm down.
Irrelevant argument.
No. So when I say, can we do a $250,000 loan from the same money at an interest where we get back, they all are for it. So that's, and so am I. I think that's, why you guys aren't, I don't know. I really don't know.
I think
but that's
you're
the
reporting on what you've heard from the public, and that's your right as a representative. Definitely. If there's any more discussion, we'll take a roll call motion or a roll call count on the motion. Seconded that from Mike. You did,
John
didn't you,
Schultz.
John? Okay.
Read the motion back, please.
Recommend developing economic development program for fiscal year 2027, specifically target loan program with a maximum loan of $250,000 with specified uses. Yes?
Yeah.
You want the roll? Trost,
No.
Dittmer,
Yes.
Diane Gallagher,
No.
Lynn Gallagher,
No.
Lang,
No.
Schultz.
No.
Motion fails.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the consideration for those other reports on our agenda. As we look through the reports, building and zoning is first. And Bill, if you're still with us,
I am still with you.
very much. Your
Okay.
information is included in the committee packet.
Yes, you'll see that July was a somewhat slow month for us. We only had a total of 15 building permits issued with a total construction value of $500,000, which is pretty slow for the month. Included in that was one new home with a construction value of $50,000, two accessory structures at $35,000 total, 10 additions, etc., with a total valuation of $334,750. And two renewable energy projects with a construction value of $80,250. We issued one zoning certificate in July, so we've issued a total of 23 to date. Special use permits to date, we've issued one. There were none issued in July. Administrative variances, we've only issued one this year, none in July. Variances approved by the Planning Commission and Zoning Board of Adjustment, a total of 10. In so far this year, we did not have a July meeting, so there's nothing to report from that meeting. Subdivisions, just one that was Gulfview Estates Phase 3. Map amendments, none so far this year. Temporary use permits, we've issued a couple this year, but none in July. Guest accommodations license, total to date for new licenses, 37. We issued 2 new ones in July. Guest accommodation renewals, total to date, 542, with 4 of those renewed in July. Inspections of new guest accommodations licenses, we've had a total of 54 during the course of the year so far, with 14 occurring in July. That number may actually pick up a little bit once we get into the new, a little later in the year, because our part-time code enforcement officer is only working 1 day a week. So I anticipate that monthly number will probably increase somewhat. Guest accommodations inspections to date for renewals, 58, with 10 of those in July. And that's all I have for the month of July. If you have any questions.
A question for you?
The question, Bill, a new home construction value of $50,000. You can spend that much on a bathroom. So how do you get a new home for $50K?
It was an ADU, like a guest house, very small unit, prefabricated. Yeah, it's not a full size house. We counted it as a new home because it's livable space, but it's not a large home. It's more like an accessory dwelling unit.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. And
yeah, I saw that before too, and I thought that just doesn't sound right. But I double checked it, and that is the number.
Any other questions for Bill? Bill, thank you very much for your diligence to stay with us tonight. We're going to move forward.
Okay.
To Northwest Illinois Economic Development, David Schmidt.
Sure. Good evening. I'll start by congratulating Village of Stockton on their site readiness grant of over $90,000 for the study of the land to see if it makes sense to place in an industrial park there. In addition, there'll be a market analysis that's done. We have not yet received, Mr. Jones is familiar with the project. We have not yet received instruction from DCO, or at least I haven't been privy to it yet, though I'm not the applicant or grant writer. But Village of Stockton, Community Funding and Planning, my organization, and then some of our additional members, we're all very excited to see this move forward. And we'll see where the study will take us. I'll jump down to point 2, which is also a nice development opportunity, if you look at it a unique way. Black Hawk Hills Regional Council and myself have sat down with the Village of Hanover to help them get started on refreshing their comprehensive plan and some other documents. A few of my members have identified the Hanover high-rise, the factory building as a potential site that could qualify for some unique funding opportunities. But in order to make successful applications, we will need to point to things such as an up-to-date comprehensive plan where it shows community consensus on what to do with that particular location. The Village of Hanover's plan is from 1997. So we are going to be working with them over the next many months to get some submittable documents together if something were to happen, say with an idea of making the factory building into mixed use. That might have a housing component with, say, commercial entities in it as well. So I'll be reporting on that in the next many months. Kind of spun out of that same topic of conversation. This fall, we do look to have a large building tour identified. So we're going to be taking a select group of folks through about 7 of our industrial properties that exist in Joe Davies and Carroll counties. That would hopefully include the Signcraft building, the Aero building in Galena. We would next come to Hanover, keep going down south, hit the Zurn Elkay plant in Savannah, and then take people back up north with stops and looking at some specific key commercial in Mount Carroll, and then potentially the South Simmons Old Welding School in Stockton, and then the WPPO facility in Warren. Those are our existing plans that have the ability to backfill with a new tenant and employ a few dozen people. So that will be our priority for this tour. And then we'll likely model it next year for, say, key commercial properties. I'll just close and then take questions by mentioning manufacturing and trades day is coming up in October. I am nearly there with having enough of our large plants available for our site visits. We already have 24 small businesses that are going to the CTE Academy. All in all, I think we're at 35 businesses and organizations that are involved with that event. This is a true regional effort. It involves over 300 of our kids from all the Joe Carroll schools, plus Lena Winslow. So it's a combination of a site visit and then activities at the CTE Academy. So at the end of the day, one of our sophomore students from one of our schools will see upwards of, say, 25 to 30 career paths that are available with businesses that already exist in Joe Davies and Carroll counties, and then say Atkins Energies right over the border in Stevenson. At that event, and I'll close by saying we are going to be making the real public debut push out to our schools of our new Job Shadow program, which my board approved just 2 weeks ago. There's already materials that are going out over e-blasts and in the mail about this. This is an opportunity to give about 22 slots to our guidance counselors at all of our schools, and then also for career changers. So we're looking to do about 24 job shadows with mainly our young people, but also those that are going through transitions. And those job shadow experiences will be done at Northwest Illinois Economic Development member locations. So right now we have 66 member locations. If somebody comes back and says, I want to do something with a banker, well, we have several bankers. If I want to do something with utility, if I want to do something with government, it might be an ask to Joe Davies County. That could be an office thing. It could be something in your highway department building or department. So this is a really unique way to leverage my organization's memberships, but also work on the brain drain dilemma and also give back to our member businesses, many of which are eager to see this program come into fruition because they are struggling to fill open positions.
I love your theme. Some of the best classrooms have no walls.
I won't take credit for having written that. It's kind of a universal thing. If you pull up what a job shadow means, you'll see some of our language that's now on our website that I creatively repurposed.
Any questions or comments for David? Thank you very much. The next report on the agenda is Economic Development Fund financial reports. Angie has those in our packets. I don't have the page number, but if there's any questions, anything you want to bring out, Angie?
No, I provided this memo. This memo has been provided to you, probably every year. I don't know, in the few years prior to me, but I know it was provided every year prior to that. Ahead of the joint committee reviews, letting you know how much money was in the Fund 18, how much was outstanding, how much interest had been earned, what cash fund balances were. So I'm providing it to you again this year. Did anyone have any questions regarding the report? And then I just provided the financial reports ending July 31st, 2026 for Fund 18, which shows the cash balance, assets being outstanding loans, revenue that we've received, which is zero, other than $431.51. In this period, year to date, probably all can read it better than I can. $3,829.92 thus far. We've taken in no cannabis sales tax at this point. Expenses so far would be the $12,250 in first-time homebuyer loans that you approved at county board in August. And the annual contribution of $15,000 to Northwest Illinois Economic Development.
John?
I see we skipped C. Is there anything from LRA?
There is not, but I have a quick report from Blackhawk Hills.
I did have a foreign trade zone meeting last week, and I talked to Rob Davies about the wisdom of a data center at the depot, and he said he's pursuing the idea. Nothing official yet, but he has some hope, and not necessarily get the word out, but he is pursuing the idea on the depot with a data center. Michael?
I thought I understood that a data center at the depot is not possible because we don't have enough fiber infrastructure. We don't have the electricity grid, and we mainly don't have the gas. So I hope he looks for it, but I've been telling people that it ain't coming anytime soon, just while it's.
Well, and also the water, because they have to filter the water if they're looking to get it out of the Mississippi. They can't just take it. They've got to filter it first.
As much as I'm for data centers, and because we need it. I mean, they need to be in the right spot, and I don't know Davis County's the right spot. If there was, it would be the depot. But I think the cost is. I'm not. Good luck. Good luck for him.
Basically, if every other place says you can't build it here, it'll look like more attractive.
At the UCCI meeting, the presenter at the thing, I talked to him afterwards, and he said the state, that was part of his job, is to find sites for them. And they are short sites, any possible sites. So he was going to look at the Savannah Arboretum depot when he left. I don't know whether he did, but I'm going to try to follow up with him, ask him if he did. But when I told him about the site, and what I see for power is using solar panels. I mean, the building is going to be huge in itself, but there is thousands of acres that would be very good for just solar panels, and it would not interfere with the wildlife.
It would also be an excellent spot for one of the mini nuke plants.
Yes.
Well, in my experience working with Rob Davies, he likes to be an action type person, likes to not turn down any opportunities. I think what he may have been insinuating is he wanted to get some information and see what was the potential. Kind of jumping the gun on some things, but it's good that he's willing to look into what are potential opportunities.
If they did build it, most of it would be in Joe Davis County. Because most of the land is in Joe Davis County.
Again, can I speak? Again, I'm all for this, but I want to wait till Lynn does all her research.
John, if you do have any others, I'll report on Black Hawk Hills. They did have an annual meeting down in Rock Falls, August 5th or August 3rd. And this was actually the first time we'd even seen each other in person. So it was good to meet their new finance manager, Dan Rodriguez, who's really just on contract. He has an accounting firm, and Matt Wise, who is a regional planner. And I'm sure that we are all wishing recovery for Andy Shaw, who is had undergone some very severe heart issues and 7-hour heart surgery. I put some numbers down for the trails because the Black Hawk Hills is always proud of keeping track of the walkers on the trails. And our Galena River Trail posted 13,517 walkers and 7,977 bikers so far in 2026.
You're
You can-
welcome.
You can see those trail numbers on the HTTPS //NWILtrails.org. What's really important is the housing plans that they had a competition for will be on exhibit starting Thursday, September 3rd from 5:30 to 6:30 will be the opening reception, and they'll be invisible at the Galena Library for that month. I'd appreciate any of you inviting others to that, being present to look over the plans, to talk about the plans. And I'm sure that we will have representatives from Black Hawk Hills there on Thursday, September 3rd, 5:30 to 6:30 in the Galena Library. Meet again for Executive Committee August 9th or August 27th at 9 a.m. And the full board will meet in September on the 28th. Thank you. Citizen comments. We've had comments throughout the meeting. I offer that opportunity again now. I don't see, Jake is on there. I don't see Dacia, and I can't read the top one. I think that's just Joe Davis County. Jake, would you like to give any input?
No, thank you.
And I do see we've had media contact with Big Radio. I don't know if you have input that you'd like to give. And now we can go around the room and offer committee members an opportunity for citizen concerns. John Lang?
None?
But when I oppose someone's idea, I am not attacking the person, only their ideas.
Lynn?
You should mention it, yes. So the Social and Environmental Committee is collecting data on senior services. We have an online survey. I have flyers here. We also have 3 in-person community input forums, September 28th, 29th. No, September 29th, 30th, and August 1st in East Dubuque, Galena, and Stockton. There's also a QR code that you can scan to take the survey. I would please ask that, what are my dates wrong? Oh, okay. What would you like that? I would ask that you share the information because the more people that complete the survey and come to the events, the better the data we'll have.
LaDon? Mike? Mike Jones, you're not really a member, but you didn't speak up during citizen comments. Would you like to give any comments right now?
I was told to just observe tonight, so
Well,
look out for the next meeting though.
well, my comment would be that I appreciate the diligence of all the people that serve on boards and committees. I know that tomorrow night's meeting with the zoning board is going to be an important one to listen into. I appreciate people taking the time to study issues. It's always been important to look back at minutes and understand what's happened in the past so that we make steps forward. And I appreciate you being considerate of one another.
And remember, it's in the courthouse, not here. That meeting
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yes, it is in the courthouse and that will allow enough room for attendance. Mike?
Is Bill still on or did he leave? Maybe this is an Angie question. Well, first of all, weren't we gonna do the camping thing or did he just not have it ready yet? I didn't see any.
The camping thing, yes, I did ask about that and it's on the agenda for September. There, Bill has got his hands full with tomorrow night and he's gonna do some research and bring some things forward. So the
No, I'm
issue
just curious.
of camping, yeah, it was something that we had brought up and I wanted to make sure that it didn't get lost. So he confirmed that that will be under study and it is, Angie has put it on the agenda for September.
And then the other question is, I had a constituent ask me, they must have been down here and they wanted to know why the building isn't fixed. And so it's been like that for 5 years. So I don't know what the point with that was. And I really haven't noticed it, but now I did notice it today. So my question is, I think you said before, it's up to the director to put it in the budget. Would that be Bill if he would want to request money to fix this up? Or is that something we do?
Isn't Bill's building, this is the highway department's building.
Highway department. So it'd be that.
So-
Thank you. All
And
right.
they're out of, as you know, they don't have the money to continue it.
And it was my understanding when I talked to Steve Kiefer, probably a couple of years ago with the unfinished parts, they use their staff when they don't have other major projects. So they do it little by little and that way it's most cost effective. It's not a top priority because there isn't as much usage of this particular room. But if you notice, there have been improvements, it's just coming, it just takes time. And it's nice to know that they're using their own staff to improve the building. We've come down to that favorite part, motion to adjourn. It's been moved by John Lang and seconded by John Schultz to adjourn the Development and Planning Committee of August 25th. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
The time is 7:50.
Good.